following intensive care episode is brought to you by the Scarred Elite, our amazing supporters from Cybernicide's Patreon. Patrons like Jason and Karen, Leah B, Lizzie T, and Billy S. Join the ranks today. Find out more at cybernicide.com/donations.
This one's gonna require a little intensive care.
All right, get my scalpel. Let's see what's inside.
Welcome to another Cybernicide intensive care episode.
47 Action News is closed caption for the hearing impaired. You're watching Channel 47 KZTM TV, Morriston, #1 in Texas.
Did someone leave the refrigerator door open? Welcome to another ICE episode. An extra chilly one. Super cheesy with me, Johnny Stitches of Cybernicide. This is ICE episode 16, part 2, Interesting, with Atticus Jackson. So this is going to be a continuation of ICE episode 15. If you haven't heard that yet, make sure you go check the show notes below. Listen to that one before you go into this, because it's 2, not 1. But before we go into the news, and there's a whole lot of news to go through today, so just bear with me real quick. I have to issue a station apology to Mike Delgadio last week in that episode. I basically went on a side rant and off into left field and didn't finish my point. I brought up Mike Delgadio, and then I brought up like getting bad advice and things like that. And I was trying, my mind was going, go to Mike Delgadio for good advice. But I didn't finish that thought. And when I was listening to ICE episode 15, I thought, that doesn't sound right. I better make sure that I tell people that that's not where I was going for. So check out Mike Delgadio, the Booth Junkie, on YouTube. He's an amazing dude that goes through and tells you how to find the best mic, how to build the best booth, helps out with voice acting tips, industry tips, all sorts of stuff like that. We'll have his YouTube channel linked below. So check out Mike Delgadio. Second apology issued from Cybernicide Channel 47 is to Scott Fompno and his wonderful kids. I was talking about how a pleasure it was to work with them, but at the same time I was bringing up the difficulty sometimes of trying to direct people and them being like, I want to do this and not that. And it kind of came off when they're in here recording in the booth, and it kind of came off like I was saying that about them. That might not have came off to anyone else that way but me, but I wanted to clarify that that's not the case. Scott and his wonderful kids have done 2 amazing episodes, actually including Scott. The family has done 3 amazing episodes. I'm going to link the ones his kids did below just in case you missed them. That is All Is Quiet On, his daughter. She played Demery. And then his son played the freaked out 911 operator in The Haunted Jawbone and just knocked that one out of the park. So I'll have The Haunted Jawbone and All Is Quiet On linked below, so you can check out those mini episodes and see how wonderful these voice actors are, man. Like, these are our future, those 2. And then the great Desdemona. She came up with the idea of breaking out the TV scientist and not just saying Dr. Laughlin, but keeping him listed as the TV scientist, because that was originally Laughlin's casting for that episode, because there was no Dr. Laughlin at that point. So I thought that was kind of cool, but I think in the episode I took credit for it when it's not my credit to take. Desdemona has been pouring a lot of hard work into these episodes and breaking out all the casting lists that are below for you to check out. So sorry, Des. Anyway, for more on Desdemona, stay tuned to ICE episodes, because she's going to be hanging out and we're going to be getting to hear her answer to all these exclusive ICE episode questions, as well as her. I think she's going to be the one heading up my interview, so she can, get her revenge back then. Anyway, with all of the apologies out of the way, let's segue into the news. We already did the news beat music, so I'm going to go right into it, because this is a station apology, or was. Now we're going into the news. You ready for all the news? Here it is. There is no news. We're going to go right into the second part of Atticus Jackson's wonderful sit down with me where we had a lot of fun, enough to split it into 2 episodes right after this. Stick around.
And you are?
Powers. Harper Powers. And you're the doctor I seen on the news curing cancer and stuff, right?
Yes, that's me. I'm Dr. Layne Laughlin.
All right, and we are back after the Sirena news, whatever that was, that preceded this part of the conversation that definitely didn't happen as part of the other episode that you heard, 10 years ago. So, moving right along, I want to welcome back to the podcast sphere of the Sirenicide Zone, the one and only Atticus Jackson. How are you doing, man?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thank you.
All right. When we last left off so many years ago, you had just told us your favorite color and how you proved it with blue mixed with Star Wars. And on my questionnaire here, that is a template that I throw on everybody so I can complete my survey study for this unknown company that I'm really doing all these for. No, not really. But I've thought about that. I was like, man, I've asked the same questions to like 30 people.
10 out of 10 candidates suitable.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move right back into it. If you missed or you're wondering what the hell you're listening to, go back to Interesting with Atticus Jackson Part 1. This right here is Interesting with Atticus Jackson Part 2. And if you've been wondering why we're saying interesting, then obviously you have not listened to Sirenicide or as many times as I've made him say that for Dr. Laughlin.
I want to try.
Go ahead.
Interesting.
Do it again. One more time.
Interesting.
That's epic. That like gives me goosebumps. That's so cool, man.
Mr. Husto.
Mr. Husto. That's right. Yeah. Awesome, man. All right. So we're going to dive right back in. If you could visit any place on the globe, what would it be or where would it be and why? The real globe, not the fictional one.
What if I just gave you just some coordinates?
That would
just
suck.
like
actually, I've Googled just a few clicks away. I could search them. I've done that before. Put longitude and latitude coordinates in it, and it pulls it right up on Google Maps.
It's that picture of that cat that's got that real surprised face that someone found on Google Earth. Yeah, I want to be there.
I want to be in that.
I just want to hang out with a cat. But really, probably New Zealand.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I want to like hang out with some hobbits.
All right.
It really is. It's like super beautiful, and I've always wanted to visit New Zealand.
Yeah, I was watching
so cool.
watching a documentary, or I guess not with her in it, but like somebody did a YouTube documentary on like Lorde when she was getting big, or before her second album came out, and she's from there. And they were going through and like narrating like, how there's so many impoverished areas over there and how like she came from a lot of that. I don't know how interwebs, I don't know how true or not true this stuff is. So do not quote me on any of this shit. It was just something I watched, and all I could think of when they're like, yeah, like her and her friends used to cruise around just trying to find something to do. And it was just, there's so much like crime and thing. I'm like, all I could think of was the Shire. I'm like, what? But I mean, that's the same thing. People are like, you're from Texas, huh? How many horses do you have? None. I don't have any fucking horses or cowboy hats.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've definitely heard that. Oh, you know how to lasso? Yeah, man, I guess. What is that like floss or something? Like I can floss my teeth. That's the longest piece of rope I got. Sorry.
So, speaking of your side of the state, up there in the you're Arlington, or where are you at over there? You're somewhere close to
the DFW.
Yeah. So we just took a family trip up there a few weeks ago, and I've been up there a couple times for concerts and things like that. I've been on Elm Street and hung out at Trees a few different times during my band days. But I'd never been to the Legoland thing over there in Grapevine, so we took our kids to it because it sounded like a really fun thing to do. And I saw literally the most morbid thing in my, I've seen in a long time. Not in my life, I don't want to get that dramatic, but definitely in a while. We went in there and they have this mock Lego Dallas. Dallas, Arlington, all of it, because it has like Cowboy Stadium, which is really nowhere near Dallas. But
Oh yeah, Arlington.
yeah, but they have like all the things, like the Reunion Tower and all those things, like really cool things. And then I saw the book depository, and I'm like, well, I get it. I mean, everybody knows that that's where JFK got, this
it's
final headache.
Still there,
Yeah,
technically.
exactly. And it's a tourist attraction, and millions of people come there a year to almost get ran over running out to take really obscene photos with the X's in the middle of the road, which just baffles me still. Like when you watch it from because from Reunion Tower, you can look down there, and I don't know how many times when we were eating up there, we saw people run from the sidewalk and stand right where the X's are, and then they run down to the other X, and it's like, what is wrong with you?
Know, they marked the place where JFK got shot, like the moment where he was. It's marked in the street.
Yes.
And people will run out into traffic and try to take photos because people are people.
Yeah, people are people. That's right. Depeche Mode, baby. But anyway, so I saw the book depository, and I thought the same thing. Okay, well, that's it's a historical landmark. I mean, it's part of American history. No issues. Then I noticed the window was opened. The second story window.
Come on.
No, man, I kid you not. If you go to, I think it's my Facebook or my Instagram, I did like a little quick 30-second video, like, oh, check out this Lego thing. I was like, oh, the book depository. And I'm like, oh, what the hell is that? Really? And if you look real hard.
Skinny Lego spear thing hanging out.
Yes.
Is it really?
There's like this little
rifle in the window.
There's not a rifle in the window. It's not like a Lego rifle, because that would have been, I guess, too obvious. But there's some kind of cylinder-looking gray in the shadow. It's not good, man. Luckily, they didn't put the X's on the pavement, at least, or put like a little convertible Lincoln outside of it. I mean, I was just like, what the hell is going on here? It's like, this is happy Lego land.
Lego Lyndon B. Johnson with his dick hanging out.
That would be
like, I'm president now.
Lady Bird, come over here.
Lady Bird, come look at my dick.
Oh, this podcast.
LBJ was crazy.
Oh yeah, dude. I've watched. They made like 2 movies on him, like back to back, and one of them was Bryan Cranston played him. And then I can't remember who played him in the other one. One was like more of a TV series, and I think the other one was just like a B movie. But both of them were good. Because he's just like, everybody, I was like, he was the Trump before Trump, like he's just outlandish, man. Just what's on the top of my brain, here it is. Yeah. I'm going to sit behind the desk with my pants off, or take a shit, take notes. But anyway, I just thought I'd kind of, sorry about the side tangent so early into this, but that just baffled me. I was like, this is like the land of fun for kids. I was like, why is that window open? Why did they do that?
That was actually really good. We went from New Zealand to Legoland Dallas with a Lee Harvey Oswald in the window somehow.
Dude, if they would have been like one of those like little Lego colored hands, like with the gun, I don't know how like angry the world would get, or just wow. They went there.
Like, it's history. It's accurate.
Yeah.
A little Lego guy coming out of a movie theater with the handcuffs on.
And then you're like, well, who did this? This is Bill. He built this large diorama. Hi. I know what happened. There was 2 shooters. One was, okay, all right. Now we know why the window's open. We got you.
You see how the window's open? Well, look at the grassy knoll. You see a little cylinder coming out there. Like, shit, man.
It's like,
you got it all, didn't you?
It's like, no wonder this guy works at Legoland.
Attention to detail. That's why I got a raise.
They wouldn't let me build the building out of tinfoil. I wanted to. Oh, man. Anyway, I'm sure there's going to be some comments on that. Sorry, everybody.
My Earth is flat model. It's really easy because, Lego, so it's pretty simple, actually.
The views and opinions expressed in the ICE episodes are not necessarily the views and opinions expressed in the fictional Morrison universe. Please listen with discretion. Do not get offended. Oh, what was that? All right, our connection through the great Discord had a little Discord So, all right.
No, we were talking about flat Earth, and then they came and they disconnected us. Is what happened because they don't want the truth to get out.
Like we were monitoring. We heard
the world is a globe. Okay, we're a sphere. I'm sorry.
It's like we heard flat Earth. We heard grassy knoll. All this stuff in one moment. We knew we had to end this internet conversation real quick. Oh,
damn it, John. We're on a list.
Now we're Echelon's listening. Or Alexa. Same thing. Oh, good times, good times. All right, so speaking of fiction like Flat Earth, we got if you could visit any fictional place, what would it be and why?
Okay, this one's gonna make you happy, I think.
I hope so.
Because I was thinking Coruscant.
Bring your breathing mask.
It would just, I don't know. It would be so cool just to see like all the droids and shit like flying around and like having to go to like a bar or something. A droid just like serves you a drink from his like little internal bits and whatnot.
And you're sitting there drinking and somebody walks up and is like, would you like some death sticks? Yes.
I'm like, yeah,
yes,
dude, I want some death sticks. You know I want some You come here every day.
I've been waiting for this question my whole life.
Death sticks? I don't know what they do. Turns out they're just like pixie sticks.
Yeah.
Like, he's just schematic. We give him like a quarter and be like, yeah, give me some death sticks. It's like the little kids in like Mexico that's like, G-glass. Try to sell you the bubble gum.
Nice.
This guy's just selling death sticks.
It's like, these are just sugar. Well, sugar could be death if you consume enough of it, okay? They're rightfully named.
He looks at you with disdain. He's like, my grandmother died of diabetes, okay? How dare you? These are death sticks.
That's why I named them these. You mock her memory.
I'm sorry, dude. I'll give you more money, man.
No, now you have to buy some Pop Rocks, too. No, Pop Rocks, that's harder stuff, man.
That's twice the amount of sugar.
All right, so that's a really good pick because out of a lot of the Star Wars stuff, I mean, like if you go to Naboo or something like that, there's a lot of places on Earth that already kind of feel like that. But you go to Coruscant, nothing. There's no city like that on our planet yet.
No, that's insane. Genius. How it's just. I can't imagine an entire planet that is just like
a city.
China's busiest, tallest.
Beijing, the planet.
Like just densest. Just do you know the population?
I do not off the top of my head.
Like Coruscant, it's got to be like, I'm sure it's like 100 billion people or something, just like shoved into.
I know that it's been referenced in like obscurely in some of the novels that I've listened to, but I don't remember the number off the top of my head. But I have Google here.
It's just so cool. Like even when they showed shots of it in the movies, where it just looked like the entire planet was just made of metal. It's just like metal as far as you can see. Like everything's just a building.
All right, let's see here. Coruscant Wiki.
Wikipedia
is roughly 2 trillion.
Oh God!
68,
I was off by a little bit.
68% human, 32% other sentients.
2 trillion.
Apparently, it has 3 moons. I didn't know that. Look at that, learning stuff about Star Wars that I didn't know. I love it when that happens. All right, so this next question is not really related. On a scale of 10 out of 10, I've asked you this in a live stream before, but people might not have seen that. On a scale of 10 to 10, how is Star Wars still an 11?
See, and I pre-wrote a response for this. It says, your scale is outdated. Star Wars is at least a 15.
Nice. That's a good one. Oh, man. That's the first on that one. I like that. So, Star Wars. Everybody knew we were going to take a tangent here. I mean, I created the ICE episode interviews just so I could talk about Star Wars with more than just the wall. So... It is.
It's actually, if people don't know, it's a little behind the scenes fact. He doesn't interview us unless he knows we like Star Wars. That's the first question he asks. Just, you're into Star Wars, right? Okay, you can be on.
Okay, yeah, I'll take you on.
We'll get.
I'm waiting, man. I can't wait till the first person. They're like, I don't know, 2. That's gonna be the best thing ever. Like, all right. Well, thank you for coming on.
Star Trek Generations, I guess. Spock was all right when he met Luke.
Is that the one with the guys with the pointy ears like Yoda? No. The Vulcan. All right, now this is over. Cancel this interview.
I don't know. I don't know if you know what you're talking about there.
I remember David Cummings was messing with me on the live stream with him. I said I asked him that same question, and he just looked up at the camera and said, "Live long and prosper." I was like, "Oh, that's messed up." That's nice.
That's a very David thing to do.
Oh man! All right, so Star Wars. Obviously, it seems that you're a pretty big fan of it as well. I have talked about it extensively on a few of these interviews, so I won't repeat a whole bunch of it. But I would like to know, I guess, if it's hard for you to pick, I guess just like what is like a scene that stands out. It doesn't necessarily be a favorite out of the franchise for you, Legends or canon.
It stands out. Shoot, that's the great thing about Star Wars. Even there's just so much content right there.
You know, while you're thinking of it, I'll remind the folks about the great thing that Star Wars does that no other fandom has done yet. Sirenicide is working on it, but we're like a pissant compared to the anteater. But Star Wars canon now, after Disney acquired it, and I know a lot of people that's a sore like, ugh, he just said that. But as a Star Wars fan, like from the Legends era into now, I love that if something happens in a comic, it affects what happens in a film. If something happens in a film, it affects what happens in a novel. All of it is like symbiotic. It's not like, oh, well, the comics is a retelling of this story, like Marvel or DC or somebody like that would do, or here's a re-envisioning of like the new Child's Play that's out. Without spoiling any of that, I haven't seen it yet, but it's a reimagining of that story told differently and things changed.
Coincidentally, has Mark Hamill in it.
Oh yeah, look at that. So that's true. That's true. Voicing Chucky, but
yeah.
So it's Star Wars doesn't do that. I mean, if something falls off a ship and lands on some planet, some mysterious object, and it's in a book, but that ain't the reason, like, for that scene in the book, that these two people that solve the thing fall off. They were already on the planet hunting this monster. There might be a comic later on about finding that object from the people that were on that ship. It's all tied together in this amazing continuity that is just, it just rewards you. Like, I mean, I still haven't read all the comics that are out yet in the new canon. I got my retirement pile getting up there, but like when the hardbound ones that Marvel puts out, like I've read all the Vader ones that are over the last 5 years that have been coming out, and they're just so good, man. Like watching a comic or reading a comic where you see Vader fashion the hilt of his lightsaber, like how he put it together and all that, and that the one that's in A New Hope isn't his original hilt, and like learning how, I mean, just stuff that you don't have to like know to enjoy the movies. You can still go eat popcorn and watch people with laser swords fight, bang bang in space, love, romance, tragedy, all that, and just watch the movies and be done and walk away. But I mean, if you're there for the depth of it and the study of it, is just it's the best story ever told. There's nothing that comes close. Because I mean, if I know a lot of people out there love, like the Song of Ice and Fire, and I'm not taking away from those, or the Lord of the Rings, but like Peter Jackson's take on Lord of the Rings is still it's an adaptation. It's not, that's it's not the book. It's a retelling of the story. Where
it's good. It's very good.
Yeah, it's really good.
But those books are
another animal. Yeah.
In depth.
Right.
Very, very in depth.
So yeah, I always like to remind people of like why does this guy like Star Wars so much? It's not as much of obviously it's just like some Vader fanboy or something like that, as much as it's just I can't believe, and you can't give George Lucas all the credit. He created it, he crafted it, but they have taken like people like Pablo Hidalgo, and these people have just taken this idea, and Dave Filoni, who created the Clone Wars series and Star Wars Rebels, and it's like, no, we have to find a way to intricately fit these stories between these movies and make all the continuity click. That is a labor of. It would have been easy just to be like, oh, well, this doesn't count because we want to tell this story instead. You know, it'd been so simple to do that.
I'll give George Lucas that in that creating or at least starting this universe, he did. I think there was a really good job at, there was a vision of what he wanted it to be.
Right.
But there were so many people that were able to take that vision and make it a reality. There's so many different, like, really, really good authors that have created these stories and these storylines that it's just like, it's all Star Wars. It's all like, we all know what it is and we can feel that.
Yep.
And they're all really good stories too.
Really
like,
good.
It's not just these handful of movies. It's like, they're very captivating stuff.
Yeah. And if you're lucky, like somebody like Timothy Zahn got to write Heir to the Empire and the Legends. And then in the new canon, he's written a new Thrawn trilogy. So you have a Legends Thrawn trilogy that's obviously not canon anymore because when Disney acquired it, you know, they said the movies are canon, Clone Wars is canon, like the Clone Wars cartoons, and then that's it. And it's like, and then it was a great crime fandom, and I'm no longer a Star Wars fan. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I spent a lot of time as a kid reading the Galaxy of Fear novels, Heir to the Empire, you know, all those kind of things, and reading all up on the Revan books and all that kind of stuff, you know, and learning more about that. And then when Disney bought it and said all that stuff don't count no more, I was just like, all right, well, you just took everything that made Star Wars cool and ruined it. And
yeah,
and
the only comic books I own are pre-Disney, old Galaxy, Old Republic, Star Wars comics, and they're really good, and the stories are really good in them. And I mean, I haven't read anything since, so that's like my bad, because I'm sure there's a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, there is.
But
and
it's just one of those things. Like, I got to put it on the pile. Like, there's just so much.
Well, it's a lot to take in. I mean, luckily, like right when they acquired it, I had just read the Darth Plagueis novel, and I should say, and call back to our other episode, I had just listened to the Darth Plagueis novel, like where when somebody walks through a door, you hear the shh. When someone ignites a saber, you hear whoosh, and they ignite it. I mean, they don't go to the point where someone pulls out a chair, but I mean, there's still a lot of Foley in there and the art, and I was just so happy. And I was reading that novel knowing that it wouldn't be canon because it was the last book released out of what is now Legends. I mean, before we knew what Legends was going to be. And I got really, you know, like most of fandom, upset. And then I remember reading Aftermath by Chuck Wiggindig, which is one of the first new canon novels. And I was like, okay, apology. I'm sorry.
Sold.
I'm in. If this is what we're doing. And then since then, like the Bloodlines novel about stories that we would have never gotten. I mean, I'm so over, and I know it's going to make a lot of people cringe, but most people are going to cringe at this, haven't really dove into the new canon. Like, I'm over Jason Solo and all these things I was attached to as a kid. Like, I will take Ben Solo any day of the week over Jason Solo's story, which are very similar. Oh, not really.
I mean, you've already experienced all that stuff anyway.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And, but I can't, you know, tell people enough that these new Marvel comics that are being put out by them, these new books that are being written. I mean, like what I was getting at is like Zahn has got to see not only his character come from the pages, but Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn himself, plays a massive role in the Rebels series cartoons, which is just an amazing cartoon, or animation, I should say. But it's so good, and it all ties together. But anyway, that's my Star Wars tangent. So, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, or Game of Thrones? Actually, you know what? We didn't get your when we're side tangenting there. What do you think of the what's a scene that calls out to you from the movies or the books or whatever something?
You know, the whole rescuing Han scene
from Jedi.
Like was it in Jedi?
Yeah. When they go to Jabba's palace.
Yeah. From the Sarlacc pit. Yeah. That whole scene, like so many like little intricate things happen there. It was just a really cool action sequence. Nice. I think.
Yeah.
Like Luke getting shot in the hand and all that.
Yeah.
R2D2 being a fucking little badass and shooting out the lightsaber so he can catch it. All of that, like, together. C-3PO not knowing what the fuck was going on. I mean, like, all the little things just made it such a great scene.
Every adolescent male boy seeing Princess Leia. Whoa.
Yeah, that helped. That really helped.
That's a woman.
Carrie Fisher was a fox for a long time.
Yeah, man. Awesome. That's a good pick. All right, so we're not going to turn it into a Star Wars podcast, I promise everybody, because I know like the non-Star Wars fans are like, yeah, what's a Coruscant? It's a city planet. Anyway, we said this already. Lord of the Rings.
2 trillion people, city planet.
Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, or Game of Thrones? Pick one. Only one.
That's so hard. Because they all have like really good positives and there's some negatives.
I love how you're like, that's so hard. There was literally like when Adam was in here, he's like, I guess by default, this one. It's like the opposite. It's awesome. I love it.
No, because I love the story of Harry Potter, just the whole like universe that's in and the whole magic, real people thing. Lord of the Rings is obviously like just very good fantasy, just well written. Game of Thrones was really, really good. Obviously they really shouldn't have rushed the last season. They could have done really, really good with it if they
There's a rush really on the last 2 seasons, man.
2 seasons, yeah, you're right, you're right. But the entire time I watched Game of Thrones, though, from like the beginning to the end, I'd say like 90% of the time I loved that show. Like I was addicted to that show. Well, and so it was just like the final bit of it that it was just, well, okay, I guess. Like I can't really get behind it anymore. As like, I don't think I'll ever go back and watch Game of Thrones again.
Okay. So Game of Thrones is out.
I'll go back and I'll watch Harry Potter. Like that was fun. There's fun parts and there's fun story elements to that, but man, I think Lord of the Rings is probably like I'll never get sick of watching Lord of the Rings.
Nice. That's just a good, I mean, Peter Jackson did such an amazing job with those films. I mean,
yeah.
And bringing like a visual element to what you've painted your whole childhood from the books.
Definitely.
Good pick, man. I like that. I think I want to say you're the first one to pick Lord of the Rings, so that's cool. All right. Like I said, unknown survey company. Note that one down. All right. All right. So what is what is a song that takes you away from it all?
A song?
A song.
Oh. Okay. It's actually kind of funny because the song is called Dark Blue.
There's proof. More proof.
So the song is called Dark Blue. It's by a band called Jack's Mannequin. I listened to it a lot when I was a teenager.
All right.
My early 20s. And I don't know. It's just, I love that song. I could always sing to it. And it completely like, it zones me out. It calms me down. It's just very, like the melody's good. The lyrics are good. It's a very good song for me.
I've never heard it, and I just shot you a thing on the messenger say make sure you send me a link, so I'll put it in the listeners for the listeners to be able to hear too.
All right.
So yeah, I love that. Like I'm going to make a playlist when all these interviews are done. It's just going to be everybody's interview songs, or that way it's like some schizophrenic experience.
That would be kind of cool. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of music, what are you spinning / streaming right now? Playlist, things like that.
Oh, geez. Man, nothing really. Like when I drive, it's whatever's on the radio.
You have an actual decent rock station in Dallas? We don't have one in Houston.
I mean, we have 97.1 The Eagle, which is, it used to be like really, really rock. And then it absorbed 102.1 The Edge, which was more like pop punk.
Yeah,
kind of music, like Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, that kind of stuff. Whereas like The Edge was or the Eagle, I'm sorry, was mostly like Seether and Metallica and those guys. And then, so now it's like a mixture of both of those.
Well, that's
so it's like good, but you know, there's it's hit or miss basically.
Yeah, so we have the Buzz here in Houston, 94.5, and that's essentially what it is now too. It's like this, anything from like Mumford and Sons, then the Metallica, and then an Eminem song randomly, and then it's just
it's so weird.
Shinedown. It's just schizophrenic.
It's not even like top 20 music, top 40 music hits or whatever. It's just like, here's something from the 80s. Here's something from, it's like some blind guy or some deaf guy in a studio just pulling tracks and being like, I don't know, this Spice Girls fine. That sounds great. We'll put that right after System of a Down. They don't go together.
Nice. Oh,
but
man.
Whatever's on the radio, and I usually listen to. I'll listen to like the generic whatever is the top music, and if it's not something I like, I'll just move it on over to the next station. And when I'm editing, though, if I'm editing audio, I'll have something on in the background, and it's usually like a Twitch stream. If I can find it'll be like a gamer or something. I'll put them down pretty low so I can actually hear my voice and whatever I'm doing. But I'll listen to that, or I'll listen to like the lo-fi hip hop beats on YouTube.
Nice.
And I'll just listen to that because it's really relaxing, and it's just like you don't have to pay attention. I guess that's the reason like I'm so behind on podcasts. It's like I have time to listen if I could listen and edit audio at the same time and like produce the audiobook.
Right.
But I would never be able to follow a storyline or like, what did that character say? Like, I can't pay attention 100% to the actual podcast when I'm trying to edit and make sure I don't have any mistakes in my own audio.
Right.
That's my biggest problem, really. But yeah, as far as music goes, that's it.
Cool. Well, I mean, I can sympathize, like when I'm going through and editing, especially, putting together the story. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard, like, obviously putting a scene together with Dr. Laughlin or Malik and listen to them talk. It's like, okay, all right, now I need to move that a little bit more closer. Okay, we need the chair sliding out here. And I'm the same thing. I'll take like some top 10s YouTube video or something I can just put down that I don't really got to dead pay attention to, like top 10 serial killers or top 10 warships from World War II, and just like have that down in the bottom, or some random like 40-minute documentary on something I already know the majority about. But if I hear like, and did you know his mistress was this? Like, no, fuck, what was that? I can do that for a second, but I can actively ignore it. Like I can do that, that kind of thing. So I can sympathize. I might have to start. I never thought about that with Twitch. That's actually a pretty good idea. Like have a low key conversation down in the. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Most of the time, you don't have to. Like, if they're a good streamer, they're going to be entertaining and whatnot. They're going to say things that are entertaining, but you can just, like, listen to what they're saying in the background. You don't really have to watch the games they're playing. You can have a few laughs. If you need a break or whatever, you can just switch over, watch it for a little bit, and go back to what you were doing. But, like, when I'm editing audio, if I don't have anything else playing except for my voice that I'm listening to at 1.5 times the speed that I usually do, so I sound like a cartoon character, I will fall asleep. And I edit that way all the time. And I get so bored of my voice, I will just start drifting off if I'm not listening to something else.
Wow. Yeah, I could see that. I could really. I mean, I can't imagine just what it must feel like to edit an audiobook like that. I mean, after editing serialized audio dramas, for the last 3.5 years of my life now, but at least, hey, I got to do the Foley today. Oh, today I'm working on the music. Today I'm doing some mastering and some leveling, that kind of thing.
It's a weird balance between like, I'm really proud of my work, and if I got to hear myself say one more damn thing.
All right. So, now we're going to start transitioning a little bit into the Sirenicide universe, but not quite the spoiler questions yet. Last of these is, have you ever been under the surgical knife?
Surgical knife. Sort of. I got 3 wisdom teeth and then 2 cracked molars taken out all at the same time.
Ow! Oh.
So yeah, they definitely. I had anesthesia. They knocked me out, and I mean it was crazy. I closed my eyes. I counted down like they want you to. Closed my eyes, opened my eyes. Everything was fine. I had cotton in my mouth. There was some swelling and bleeding. My girlfriend at the time almost passed out because she couldn't stand the sight of blood. But I was fine. Everything went well. But I had
they did the
5 teeth.
Dissolvable stitches and all that in there, or what?
I can't remember. I couldn't tell you that. They had me doped up pretty good, and I feel bad because I wasn't one of those YouTube videos where they take the video of you being all high up on the coming right out of it and just saying nonsense. And I don't remember saying any nonsense. I mean, I guess if I did, I wouldn't remember it anyway. But I think my priority was, man, make sure your girlfriend's okay. She's about to pass out and you've got a mouthful of blood. Just like,
that's hilarious.
Like standing up after the surgery, after the procedure, and she was lying down on the little cot because she felt like she was going to faint. Wow. And I was just like, I'm fine. I mean, like, they got me doped up. I'm okay. Like, don't worry about me. I don't feel anything right now.
Wow. Yeah, we actually had a story, mini episode called "Wisdom That Fades," and it was one of my wife's first stories she wrote, and she wrote it from that experience. She went and had her wisdom teeth pulled out, and I waited. I actually dropped her off. She had them pulled out. I actually went to work, but I worked right down from where she was having it done, and then they messaged me when she was ready, and I went and picked her up. And I didn't record her obviously for the YouTube thing either, but she did. But she was just like, I'm thirsty. I'm like, okay. Just like, she's just totally out of it. And I told her about all of it. Actually, I did record some. I don't think I uploaded. I just showed it to her, like, like this is kind of how you were acting. And she turned it into a freaking mini episode horror story on Sirenicide. I think it's mini episode 19, Wisdom That Fades. And the killer in the story, or the Sirenicide member in the story that picks her up, he's actually one of the nicer Sirenicide guys. Like, so he's not like harvesting people off the highway. He's kind of a little bit more educated. He's got a dentist in his back pocket, and so he picks her up, and he's like, let me help you into the truck. And they close the door, and he gets in, and he's like, are you okay? And she's like, I'm thirsty. So she like wrote that line in there. So that's kind of, that's really cool. Like taking the life experience and adapting it to a little 5 or 6 minute horror story. So, but that's Wisdom That Fades. If you want a refresher out there, podcast people. All right. So now we're going to transition into the spoiler questions. I think up until this point in this part, we've been pretty spoiler free. So if stop now or forever hold your comments.
Dr. Laughlin was a zombie the whole time. Spoiler. Sorry, guys.
I told you not to spoil season 4, dude.
Crap. Cut that out.
All right. So, Dr. Laughlin, can you relate?
Can I relate? Yes. I cured all the cancers. and please, no autographs. No autographs. No, he's way smarter than me. I probably relate to him most back in his days when right before the first time taking pause.
All right.
Not as much as what he did, but just like,
let's have a beer and hang out.
Yeah, exactly. Drinking beers and hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, other than that, I can't see anyone's liver problems. Is that wait? That was in Trinity. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, your liver's not looking too good.
Your liver's shit, dog.
So obviously, we're not going to get into any season 4 spoilers here, folks. So don't fret from that. And if we do actually ramble something out, I will take it out. You will never even know it was in this episode. They're supposed to be uncut and unedited, but that is like the only way it would be. But Dr. Laughlin, a little bit of background, and some of this will probably be news to his voicer. I don't know if that's a term, but Dr. Laughlin was his inception. We wanted good guys in Sirenicide, and we started roughly talking about them towards the end of season 1, early season 2 writers' rooms. We'd all sit around and either RPG or start throwing out some ideas, and we wanted to create again, spoilers, people, but we wanted to create a character that was undeniably a good character. And the first one we came up with is like, well, you can't get better than having a fucking angel. So I was like, what if we have some angel guy run for mayor? But people don't know he's an angel. Just really dumb, like broad stuff at first, which has now been refined into Malacusto. And but that'll come way later. But until then, we need to start creeping them into season 2, because season 1's supposed to be a very linear guy wakes up, big scar on his chest, doesn't know how it got there, and starts finding out that there's some really weird shit going on in the city he's been living in, and the people are ignoring it for some reason. And that's about it. And he finds out who did it, and he finds basically his arch nemesis that will be, your standard, Joseph Campbell take kind of story. Just good guy, thrusted into events, has some sort of mentor, which is the Vincent character, and we lose him. Very following that kind of format, because again, we were a death metal band at the time, just trying to give our stage names, Johnny Stitches, Eddie Vile, Joey Trauma, Mickey Tourniquet, these weird names we'd had for the last 7 years, some kind of rough comic booky backstory. We had no idea people were actually going to fucking listen to it. Or we might have tried a little harder. Oops. But I refused to go back and, George Lucas up my first season. It's hard not to, but it is, you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And we know where we were. But
we're going to change Johnny Stitches to Johnny Wishes. It's a little more kid-friendly. Make sure we get a bigger audience.
Yeah. Well, positive Johnny Stitches. But we wanted to introduce a character, and I got to give credit where credit's due. Eddie Vile, the drummer of Sirenicide, one of the main creators of Sirenicide, he's like, I really want to come up with this doctor character, and that he turns into something. And I was like, what, like Bruce Banner? Like, what are we doing here? And no, not that. And he jotted down some like rough notes, and we shared them in Dropbox back and forth. And finally we all met up, because we're all, we all live like 20 miles from each other, and we finally all got together in a writer's room, and we talked about maybe this liquid thing that's in people's brains, he could harness that and like turn into liquid. I was like, so he's like Hollow Man? So we were coming up with all these random ideas, and we couldn't really fucking put a finger on what we wanted Laughlin to be. So he writes The Withering Youth. He wrote that episode, which is Science Guy on TV's first intro. So he snuck his character in there, which I loved. We were reading through it, and I can't exactly, because it's been so long ago now, I remember the exact turn of events, but I remember reading through, we were driving somewhere. I was driving the car, and he opens up his laptop. He's like, I want to read you this rough draft for The Withering Youth, season 2, episode 7 I'm working on. I'm like, okay. And he starts going through it, and we get to the part where, he's like random reporter guy whom I play, which I love this dude because he's just like the biggest naive asshole. He's got this guy, Dr. Laughlin, that we'll find out later, sitting next to him saying, like, we have a way that we're going to cure the world's diseases, and we'll be releasing it very soon. And he's like, well, isn't that something? Anyway, he's like, just didn't even hear him.
Good for you, man.
It's like the worst reporter in history. I think I brought this up just on Amy's episode, like 2 episodes ago, but that was our first hint at Laughlin.
Super neat. Okay, next question.
And sadly, it just got kind of put on the like back burner roughly for the rest of season 2, because season 2 is all about darkness. Like, it's supposed to, we're supposed to set the listeners up for there is no good guys in this city. Like, you got this USG, this Doc guy, and these acolytes that are all scarred up. You got this other gray faction. I don't know if we're supposed to like them or not. They're weird, the Sirenicide people. And you got this poor dude who was like a hospice caregiver trying to do some investigation, and the people he's friends with keep dying. Like, when is it going to give? And when we were writing for season 3, when we started doing the preliminary writing, we got hit by, Harvey in the middle of all that. And everything happens for a reason. And that hurricane literally in our world transformed Sirenicide in the fictional Morstan world. Because if it wasn't for that, Dr. Laughlin would have never become more than just probably a background idea. But we wanted to introduce this mayor guy as like the savior. And it's like, okay. And then we wanted to take this rough detective that had been through hell and find out why had he been through hell. Like, what has he gone through? And that's Harper. And I was like, well, we can't have just this duo, like Batman and Robin. We need like a trio, like a trinity. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's like a holy trinity without all the Bible stuff. But like people are literally good. They're good-hearted. And I remember, because I don't know if you know this, but Jessica McAvoy is actually the editor of Sirenicide. She goes through, every script goes through her. Because much like yourself, she doesn't really listen to podcasts. Like, doesn't have the time either. She listened just like you to everything she ever recorded. She'd be listening to something right now while she's, eating, or when she's got to go to the bathroom. I mean, she'd never be able to. I got to understand every fandom that I've helped or worked for. It's not possible. That kind of thing.
You have headphones in. On the left channel, you have one podcast. On the right channel,
exactly.
You have another podcast.
It'd just be chaos. So I would, ask her things like, what do you think about this story here? Because she started editing for us in season 2. And because I asked her one time, I think this is in her ICE interview, her first one, and I said, you ever sit there and read these scripts and think, God, these people can't spell, they can't write. What am I doing? Why did they send me this crap? And of course, she's way more polite than I am. And I was like, because I really need somebody to look at the script that's not biased to its story. Because all the people I'm working with are helping create these characters, are helping fasten the universe. And they might look through something and miss just like, no, this needs an ellipses, or this needs to be stammered better, or this dialogue, like the anatomy of it. Would an English teacher look at this and pass out? And she's amazing at that. And so I sent her the finale for season 2, and she's been on board every day since. Every short story, every mini episode, every episode goes across her desk. So though she doesn't get to listen to
your name a lot on the website.
Right. So, I mean, she's like the shadow, like, of our team. That's not like at the table, like the ghost that's when we're sitting there thinking. It's like she'll message me when she's editing a script, and like, I know I don't touch really continuity and those kind of things. That's not really what she checks for. We have Desdemona. She's our lore master for that. But we still needed somebody to look through the scripts, and now she gets to know the story. And my long side tangent here for that was when she first read like the preliminary stories for season 3, she messaged me on the messenger like, oh my God, good guys, finally.
I remember that during her interview. Yeah. Because you asked her, who would you go through the anathema with? And she was like, I'm just rooting for the good guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want the good guys to win. I'm that person. It's like, I don't know if they're going to appear, but I just want the good guys to happen.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, because she couldn't bring up, I think, the way that one fell, she wasn't able to bring up any of season 3 yet, even though half of it was written by the time, a lot of it, or more, probably a quarter of it was written at that time.
That's so Jessica.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, she did. So I'm really anxious because we're actually going to be doing another one of these series interviews with her, and I've had to modify her question list because she's already had some of these asked her before. But it's going to be fun because she can actually openly talk about half of this stuff now that it was like, nope.
Oh yeah, it's true.
But And then we'll probably do a roundabout one with the whole creative team when it's all said and done, where like the whole serialized series can be spoiled at that point. But yeah, man, he went from just Dr. Laughlin, like just exploded on the scene in season 3. And, you know, it became to the point, and I kid you not, you'd probably laugh your ass off if you could like be a fly on the wall when I'm writing Laughlin dialogue, because my family looks at me weird because I do this for all the characters, but Laughlin's probably one of the most ones I really get into. Him and 447, or Emmett, sorry, 447, Emmett McNally, aka 447. But I'll sit there and go, Mason, why don't you get Jasmine some? No, Mason, if we look at go ahead and, I'm sorry, Miss Oswald, but what we were looking for, no, I don't like backspace. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, be verbalizing. But
he talks a certain way now.
Yeah, man.
It's very cool.
But it all has to do with the way you did that initial line, like, and we'll be releasing it soon. So it's like the way you went down on that, I was just like, okay, all right. Whenever he's whenever he makes his point now, it's going to be, you understand? Interesting. I see, you know, and even it transitions to the way you played him even in his youth. Be like, fuck that dude, you know, like he's not a doctor or anything yet, but that's just like his way of, that's Laughlin, man. I mean, he's you. That's fucking epic. I love it.
That was the hardest role to play, was younger Laughlin. Be like, how do I do Laughlin pre-Laughlin? He's going to go through some shit to become Laughlin, but he's still Laughlin. Kind of.
Man, it was that was just an unbelievably passionate episode to write. I remember my son, he had won or he had finaled for state piano champion. We had to drive to San Marcos from Houston. And we went out there, and I had my laptop with me. My wife was driving, the kids were in the back seat, and I was listening to nothing but Dirt and Facelift like on repeat the whole way there, like those two Alice in Chains albums, because I really, you know, the songs, you know, We Die Young, Scary's on the Wall is the name of the episode. It's a lyric from it, and they're all throughout it. Them Bones you have there, because I'm a huge Alice in Chains fan, you know, and I wanted to pay tribute, and up to this point, we never had Laughlin's first name, ever. So like, well, what better way to pay tribute to Dr. Laughlin than spell his first name Layne, like Layne Staley? And that's where Layne Laughlin came from. And then it's like, well,
that's cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, who's Layne Staley's partner in crime in Alice in Chains? Jerry Quantrell. Okay, we'll make his brother Jerry. So Jerry Laughlin and Layne Laughlin, and then it's like, and then if you really want to dive in there, it's like, where'd you get this stuff from? You know, I got it from Courtney, dude. She blew Kurt earlier. Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain, like I snuck it all in there, man.
I didn't put two. I didn't even put one of them together right there. Holy crap!
So there's tons of I remember telling a few people, like in my Alice in Chains obsession, you know, it's like vicariously through this fictional character, Layne lives. Not only does he live, you know, he gets over the heroin that was holding him down, you know, as a youth, and becomes this savior. So it's like just a real big fictional thing that obviously has not that much to do with the real person, but it's kind of like this reimagined fan fiction version. So
very cool tribute.
Yeah, man. That is, I don't know. I guess when Desdemona is going to be interviewing me on one of these things, and it's going to be really hard. That favorite moment in Sirenicide, but that is definitely up there, man. That I love that episode. Scary's on the Wall is amazing.
You were going to ask that question, and that is my favorite moment in Sirenicide.
Nice. Well, we'll go ahead and hit that. Favorite moment in Sirenicide. I think it's like a 7-minute episode, maybe. Or no, I think it's a long mini. It might be 12 minutes. I don't know off the top of my head, but Jessica playing the goddess of death in it. That was really difficult for her because she's Lena Klein in our series. I mean, she's done a few like waitresses and like a little girl voice here and there, but
I don't know if it was difficult for her.
Well, I mean, it was, but the thing is with her and with yourself and like with Jeff Clement and people I've used, I feel so bad because it's like, I'll go months without being able to talk to you guys, because I can't. It's just not an anthology series, and it'll confuse the listener if it's, obviously the same guy over and over playing the same character or different characters.
We're not a different person every week like we're used to.
Exactly. So I had to tell her, I was like, when you play Voslin, she can't be Lena Klein. And what sucks with Lena Klein, because she's played Lena Klein old, she's playing Lena Klein like in her early 20s or late teens, early 20s. She's been this character throughout this. I mean, we have a playlist on our website called the Lena Saga, which is every Lena episode, even though she's technically a supporting character, but she's done so much and she's been a part of the story so much. I mean, she's Eddie Vile's girl. So, I mean, from yesteryear. And so having her step into this role of Voslin was so crucial for me personally, because Voslin is, an Easter egg for my novels that I'm writing that aren't out yet. There's a series of books coming called the Midland novels, not like Midland, Texas, but yeah. Well, I mean, this is
cut this out.
Yeah, no. A lot of this is if you go to our Patreon, like the 2020 level has that in there. Like this will also back the production of these books that I'm working on. But I mean, Sirenis,
really cool.
Yeah, Sirenicide.
I would love to learn more about that character. Or
Awesome.
At least
yeah.
stuff out.
Well, stay tuned for season 4, folks. Because you're gonna get some more Voslin action. I promise.
I don't even know what's happening.
But
get scripts.
And it'll sneak up on you. It's scary. Anyway, but Midland is the land between heaven and hell, the midpoint, like the extreme. There's 3 physical realms, and you'll learn. A lot of people very familiar with Sirenicide Novus, like that heaven in our world or our realm is a realm called is called the Arc Realm. And then hell is a realm called the Agony Realm, and they are both physical planes. And then there's the Eden Realm, or Earth, or our ever-expanding universe. And the reason why everybody pines for this place is because of that. People created something they no longer have control of. Well, then there's these ethereal realms. One's the Dream Realm, and one is Scary. And Scary is our dead realm, and she's the goddess of death, right? So I
believe I've been to Scary.
I believe you have too. And man, this is some serious shit. I knew it'd take me here, but I really, oh crap, I'm actually in it. Oh, and if
holy shit, man, I love that so much.
If you want to,
so good.
If you want to follow up, mini episode 26 is there's a dealer dealing this drug, or Sirenicide going to take out these drug dealers, and they end up telling the listener that this drug dealer has been taking a drug and modifying it, and now we find out that basically Laughlin and his brother just got a bad batch, and that's why that happened to them. Like it's kind of the inverted sequel to Scary's on the Wall. It's the next mini episode. All this shit's intertwined. Like I told you, I'm a Star Wars fan, man. Everything's got to scratch each other's back.
Even I think it was Trinity when Laughlin was explaining it, and he was like, "Well, I took I took some Vaz, and it was different back then than it is now." And
right,
he was saying, he was like, he knew that something was wrong with it, or at least like he figured out something was wrong with it.
Yep, and that's
at the time,
and that's the thing. Cool. That's what makes Sirenicide such a gray faction. Like one of their renegades went off and made this drug, Mario Lancet, and they found out. They fixed him. That's mini episode 10, the silent one, and they kill him.
Shit, they fixed him.
Yeah, and not only
sounds very ominous.
Not only did they nix him, they went through and Jimmy Hemorrhage, one of our other characters, started basically, for lack of a better term, purifying all of his dealers, like getting rid of this drug. That kind of course, none of it will ever be completely gone because there was so much of it put out. But yeah, I mean, it's all intertwined, man. Scary's on the Wall was the catalyst for moving forward with that storyline. Like, okay, what is Dr. Laughlin's superpower and how did he get it? And that's his origin story. I mean, why can't I think of his name? I always forget. It's the private investigator. Oh,
guy.
Harper Powers, my smart ass.
Yeah, Harper. When he was the conversation they had, and he's like, "I believe you."
Yeah.
He's like, I'm really glad that like that's the case instead of you just being some random ass genius.
Yeah.
Like, I love that shit.
Yeah, no, that, and you're gonna. I mean, I know that you've had probably about, I think, a third of the script sent to you already for season 4, and you've already done, I think, up till 4 or 5. But I just finished writing 414. And
I'll never tell.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a pretty good bit of work coming your way. Over the next month, 2 months. So, and it's
Crap.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a novel's worth.
I quit.
It's still an audio drama.
It's too much. I just want a Star Wars podcast. That's all I want.
That's all. Me too, man. It's so saturated. I listen to like 5.
No, I was me. It was me and Erica Sanderson were both cast for a Star Wars based audio drama, and I guess they got like a C and D because we never heard from them again.
Well,
after like 2 weeks of talking to them about it, it was awful. We were so excited.
That sucks too. I remember when she was sharing some of that when that was going down, and what really pisses me off, and everybody knows I'm a Star Wars fan, so when I vent, I'm venting for real. They released a thing called an audio drama, and it's Dooku Jedi Lost, and it's amazing. Don't get me wrong. And this is a Lucasfilm audio drama. It's only available on Audible, and you have to pay for it.
Ugh.
Which, the original audio dramas from Star Wars were audio dramas, like the ones that Mark did, and those things like between the movies and after the movies, which weren't that great, but there were Star Wars audio dramas in the late 70s and early 80s. So I thought, oh, cool, we're going to finally have a return to form of that. Like maybe they're going to get Daisy Ridley and a few of these people to like do some side stories, in an audio drama format.
Cool.
And it's not. I mean, it's like an audio drama and an audio book had a baby, because it's still one voice for Dooku, one voice for this character, one voice for when the guy, like it is a cast, like there's somebody playing Qui-Gon, like it's a prequel to Phantom Menace. Well, it kind of runs through it anyway, without spoiling anything. It is good. I downloaded it, I listened to it. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Some really cool canon stuff gets told in there. That's awesome, which is what really bumps it up. But I'm like, man, I could make a production that would run circles around this, and I'm not even that good. Like, you're fucking Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that they nick somebody like what you guys were going to do that would probably have done a really good job, instead of just saying, you know what? Come on over here. Let's hire you. What are y'all wanting to do here?
And I was really excited to voice that character too. He was such a rugged outlaw cowboy guy.
They're shutting down, they shut down YouTube channels left and right that try to audio drama the comics and things like that. I've subscribed to one for a while where a dude was busting his ass, like igniting the sabers and bringing on people to voice Vader and stuff like that. And then I clicked the channel the next day and it's gone. Like, damn.
That's such a shame.
Which isn't Lucasfilm, I don't think, as much as it's somebody.
Projects should ever be treated like that.
Right.
Like, unless they're trying, outright trying to make money and be like, this is my property now.
Right.
Obviously, their projects, they're not going to make the hundreds of millions of dollars you've already made.
Yeah, it's fan fiction, man. I mean, that's the whole point of it. I mean, in order to create that, they're going to go buy your books, your movies.
Oh, yeah. And they're going to turn other audiences who might not have even heard of anything in the first place, if they hear that fan fiction first, and they're just like, that's really cool. Where's that source material from?
Right.
You got a new listener, viewer, whatever.
Man, it's a dog eat dog world out there, though, man. But anyway, back on point with Laughlin. Each time I got a script from you, back from you, I would listen to the Rawls, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, what if I do this with this guy? Like, it just started unfolding to the point where even Eddie I'd say, hey man, I know he's kind of a character that you in the beginning. He's like, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. Like after Scaries on the Wall came, I was like, just keep running with him. I was like, but I've adopted this as one of my favorite people to write. Like, I just love this fucking character. And so from pretty much back of season 3, because season 3 we tried something which didn't work that well. We did a kind of like Walking Dead and a few other things. Then we did a split season where we did a mid-season finale and then a mid-season premiere, and we put mini episodes between them. And we're not doing that for season 4. But we wanted to try it. We didn't know, and it gave us some extra time to work on making the end of season 3 really, really good. So Scaries on the Wall comes out in that mid-season break. So post Scaries on the Wall, Laughlin is just to that, like you said, like that scene you quoted, like when they meet Malik and all that, like, so what are you exactly? Well, I'm guess what you would call an angel. Interesting.
Yeah. He's very much like, he just like, I don't know how to put it. He's
well, I mean, you got to think about this thing that was in his brother's bed that like spread out like these large fairy wings, this moment in his life that will never leave him, obviously. And now
it's like
this man standing in front of him.
Don't faze him. Like, he's just like, okay.
All right. So what you're telling me is that's real too. Well, we know the devils are real because we've been, the red suits. We know all about that. So it's just like plugging it all together, like, huh.
Yeah.
All right.
He's very much that kind of person. He's like, well, okay, that's some new information I didn't have before.
Dude, man, I can't. I mean, obviously, we're on air. I might talk to you a little bit when we get off, but I cannot wait for you to see the end of season 4. You're going to just shit your pants, man. It's so awesome. Like, it's amazing character, dude.
I'm sleep tonight.
All right. So, usually I ask people this question. You're a little bit more used to this a little bit, but I'm still going to ask it anyway. What is it like recording a character like Laughlin? You're sitting there in front of your box, your apparatus, your microphone. Here's the Sirenicide script in front of you, and then hitting play and hearing it in context with Jessica and like an episode like Scaries on the Wall, like it all come together. And you might be able to reminisce, obviously, if you felt that feeling with No Sleep, I'm sure tons of times too. Like, here's this thing I recorded.
Absolutely. Because you sit there and you record, and it's just you, and you're reading the lines in your head of the other characters, and you're just trying to get into like the conversational aspect of where you're not just reading the lines, you're trying to emote the lines as if you're responding to someone, or you're starting a topic, or you're, all those sorts of things. And you don't know what it's going to sound like until there's a finished product. So going back and listening to it, and you're just being like, man, it's really cool, because most of the time it's like, this is exactly what I had in my mind. This is what I wanted it to sound like, and it sounds great. And it's always great to hear like producers taking your voice and making you actually sound good, because there's like compression, EQ, man, those things do wonders to a person's voice when you're just putting raw audio into a microphone.
Well, what I love about what you send us is like, because sometimes people get offended. Like, I get a new voice actor, like somebody that's not part of the No Sleep crew, or, Christina. We have like a whole ensemble of other actors that, like, I mean, at this point, really, yourself and McAvoy are probably our two main recurring No Sleep people. Like Peter Lewis isn't really on the show that much anymore. And it's not like it's just, again, it's serialized. So there's only so much you can do with a said character. And of course, a voice like Peter Lewis's, he was the original Acolyte 447 in season 1. And then I ended up having him as like a hive guardian for Doc back in like literally 55 like BC, like that way it'd be that much difference, and the characters are totally unrelated, and he got to be like really almost like Shakespearean in the way I wrote the dialogue for him. And I even pitch shift him a little bit just to make sure that, because he's got such a well-known way he reads. And I didn't want people to be like, whoa, is this 447 like Roman days? I didn't want to lose the listener. And he did a really good job. But at that point, it's like, okay, these are two characters. I can't use him for anything else. Like, not until I do anthology stories. I can't use him for anything else. And I felt bad, but, and I always do. Like, especially like Jeff Clement's done like 4 or 5 characters for us, but they've always been minor characters. That way it's broken up, and he can, I can just say, hey, man, I got this mini episode I need you to play this dream character. He's like this guy coming to this woman in this dream, and he's talking to her. Okay, I can do that kind of thing. And people, they're not going to be like, whoa, that's Laughlin, or whoa, that's Malik, because he's never played a main character, so he's got that benefit. So really, Jessica McAvoy and yourself are the main two recurring No Sleep voice actors that have come onto the show. But we have like this massively talented ensemble, like Christina Nichols, who's voiced in video games and things like that we just found in a random Facebook group. And like I've ended up creating our own like little freaking kumbaya of all these, voice actors, and it's so fun. It's, I mean, you know how it goes. I mean, same way you have like with, Nicole Goodnight, Jessica, Erica Sanderson, and the No Sleep crew, that kind of thing. It's tight. I mean, obviously we're not 13 seasons in, but one day we will be. And
it's actually funny. Christina was streaming on Twitch one day playing Fear, or one of the Fear games, and I randomly like hopped on her chat and found her, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she was like, "Oh, hey," and I'm like, "Hey, we're both in Sirena's site together."
That's
like, what? I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm Atticus Jackson. I play Dr. Laughlin." It's like, what? I'm like, "Yeah, you're Juliana Blaze." I'm like, "Yeah."
That's awesome, man.
It was cool. It was really friendly. She was a real cool gal.
Yeah, she's been, I mean, she's an epic Star Wars nerd too, just like us. So she's so fun to talk to. Like,
even better.
I remember she was, I think, moving from Boston to LA, because she's doing not just the voice acting thing, but the real acting thing and all that. So together, not that voice acting ain't real acting. Is not what I'm getting at. Internet, don't start even trolling, because obviously I favor voice acting over real acting. I run a fucking horror drama.
She's good. She could do it all, I'm sure.
Dude, she's so talented. But like, I remember like during that, because of the move and the way it landed, it was like right in the middle of, I think, Last Jedi coming out. So we could like, she hadn't been able to see it, and I'd already seen it like 8 times. I'm like, I just want to talk to you about this. Please, just go see the fucking movie.
Here's $20. Go see the movie.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was a monetary thing as much as it was just she was unpacking. She's got kids. It's just, life. And it was like, I just want to talk to you about Last Jedi. And finally she's like, I saw it. I'm like, just like the biggest mental dump I'd taken. It was so cool. But
it's like the thought of bribing someone just so you can talk to them.
No, but I
don't care what you're doing. Put it down. It's $20. Go see the movie.
Right.
Come back.
I mean, and I've met so many people like that. Like, I mean, I used to fanboy out listening to you and Jessica and Peter Lewis, and then like I never thought 3 years later, y'all would be on my show. That's just, I'd have a show, let alone people like I love listening to. I mean, one year I went to No Sleep Live to watch it. The next year we opened for it. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Super trippy, right?
Yeah, I mean,
super trippy.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just such a cool community of bringing like all these characters together and hearing people do these things. And every now and then I'll get somebody that's just like sends me a file and they're like, hey, I went ahead and compressed it. I added this and this and this. And in season 1, when I'd get that, I'd be like, oh, thank God. In season 4, I'm like, no, I don't want that. Please, I just need the raw. I mean, if you want to cut out your hiccups, your burps, that's
audio,
fine.
Please.
I just need the raw audio. Please let me do the production. Because and it's not that they're doing it in mouse. It's like, oh, I want to show this guy. I want to help them. I really like their show. I want to work for them. And it's like, no, I got to have raw audio, because I literally saved up all of season 1, spent like part of my tax return and like savings money and bought the RX suite of plugins for like $1,600. So I could pull out all the mouth clicks. So I can, instead of, because I was manually doing it before, so I could sound replace all that stuff. And like, I can interview somebody on like a convention room floor now, run it through RX, and it sounds like we're talking in a room. And
yeah, the David Cummings had from the reddit.com/r/no sleep, they had a Q&A with him, and one of the questions I asked him was, what's the most expensive equipment that you use? And at the time he said, oh, it's probably Isotope RX5. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I looked it up and I was like, holy shit.
Yep.
That's so expensive. But after doing my first audiobook and having some no sleep money, you bet your ass I bought me some RX5.
Yeah, man. And even like the smaller bundles are nice.
Dude, it is a godsend for doing audiobooks, audio. It is top tier. Like it's very, very expensive, but it's
worth it. Yeah.
It's so worth it. It's ridiculous. I mean, the amount of time I used to spend when I used like Audacity, and I would have to go through and like try to get rid of either like just breathing noises or any kind of clicks or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You do that in RX with like a maximum of 30 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
If you have a slower computer.
Exactly.
Like they perfected these things, and it's whew,
yeah.
Thank you folks who are way more knowledgeable at audio producing than I am, because it makes me look a lot better.
Yep. No, man.
Not knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah, Isotope's been a godsend. I mean, somebody like David would be able to probably listen to Sirenicide and be like, okay, I can tell right around here, season 2, episode 5, 6ish, they started using it. I mean, the naked ear, the fan, they're not going to really be able to tell. People all tell us, like, why do you say the quality of season 1's so bad? It doesn't sound that bad. I'm like, it's horrible. The compression rate, all of it, it's bad. And
it's
I just
so
want to,
funny.
I want to go through and RX the hell out of it, but I won't.
Because I can even listen to the audiobooks, because like I said, I started them years ago. When I started the second audiobook, or I'm sorry, it was my first audiobook, second in the series, I was still using the Blue Yeti.
Right.
And then I worked with Small Town Horror for a bit.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I binged that.
They sent me a Rode NTG4, a shotgun mic, really, really good. You know, way better than my Yeti. So I got rid of the Yeti, put it aside. You know, set up my Rode. So I did the third book on my Rode. So it was like it's better quality. And then by my fourth book, my dad had gifted me a Neumann.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So I now have this extremely good microphone.
Right.
And it's just like you listen to like the beginning of book 4, and if you compare it to the beginning of book 2, which I can't change,
right?
It's already like done and dusted, but it sounds worlds apart. Like you can't compare a Neumann with a Blue Yeti. Like you just can't do it.
No, not at all.
It's a $99 USB mic versus a $4,000 like studio microphone.
Right.
It's an and the sound is just like when you start out voice acting, a lot of people do, and they get like a Blue Yeti or they get the snow, whatever it's called,
snowball,
the icicle or something, or snowball, and they're just like, all right, it sounds pretty good. I'm like, it does sound pretty good if that's the only thing you've ever used.
Sounds better than a cell phone.
It sounds exactly. It sounds like, oh wow, it's got 2 channels. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, no, try to work mono on this super clear, doesn't pick up anything else. Even if it does, you got RX because you spent $1,500 on it. Get rid of that in a second.
Yep.
It's with a good. The thing is, with a good microphone, you can edit the audio with that, or you can edit the raw audio so much easier than you can with a lesser quality microphone.
Yep.
So
I completely. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's funny because we get people all the time. You know, they send in like, yeah, I'm a voice actor. I'm like, okay, and then I'll get the file, listen to it, and I'm really as polite as I can be. I'm messaging back. What are you recording on? My Samsung? Okay. Go down to the store for about $100. And I tell them, get you at least a blue, like a Yeti, not a Snowball, but a Yeti. It's got a little bit better preamp built into it. It's also got a headphone jack. Your Neumann does not have a headphone jack. That means it's I'm I tell people that all the time.
Automatically better, that Yeti.
Yeah, my Yeti's got a headphone output. This $4,000 mic doesn't even have a headphone out.
This weird ass 3-point connector I got. I don't even have a wire into my computer with this.
XLR. I thought that was a Cadillac. No.
Well, that's things like a Yeti can be decent if you have the proper.
Yep.
Yeah. If you treat your room.
Or right space.
Yeah. If you treat your room, treat the space you're recording in, treat your closet, whatever, you can do lots with a Yeti.
Yep.
They're actually like, Blue is like a really good. Blue makes a very, very cheap microphone, but they also make very, very expensive microphones that are very good.
Oh yeah, but even the Yeti is worth its money in gold. I mean, it's worth $100 20 times over. Because if you buy a set of RX plugins for your Yeti microphone, so instead of buying the $4,000 mic, you buy the $100 mic and say don't even get the $1,600 RX. You get like I know RX. I think 8's out now. Just get like this.
You can pick and choose what you like want to buy, right?
Exactly. Well, yeah.
Elements or whatever?
Yeah, you can just do the Elements package for like a couple $100, get you a Yeti, and man, if you're serious about doing this, you will get work. Because the amount of people that aren't serious about it or think they are, have just never been told the other way, that are using their iPhones. And don't get me wrong, an iPhone has a hell of a compressor in it. Like an amazing one. You can always tell when someone's like taking concert footage if they filmed it on a not iPhone and when they did. And again, I'm not trying to be Apple here. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I've had people say my Galaxy 8 or whatever, I'm over here at Shinedown and all I hear is and they're like, I was at the same concert. What is that? My iPhone 5. Like, all right, that's got a better compressor. It's like an active compressor. Anyway, I guess we're probably getting too nerdy for some people out here in audio land. Like, what are they talking about?
And I mean, it's funny because it's really not. That's really not the point. Because it depends on what you record on and what you upload to. Like other things have different compression levels and all that.
Yeah,
a phone is not ideal. In some cases. It can work, especially if you're. I've worked on plenty of podcasts where my character or whatever is on the other side of a phone.
Right.
And if I wanted to record that on a phone, they could filter it to where it sounds like I'm on a phone and I don't have to have the best quality of audio.
Right.
The way that I work, the procedures that I do in my brain is just always better, always more, buy, like my fiberglass, like acoustic treatment things. Like I built those myself. I saw it online for the longest time and I could have bought them for way too much money. And the ones that are like pre-built, but I'm just like, no, my next gig or whatever, my next no sleep payment, gonna do this. I'm gonna upgrade. The next time I get paid this amount of money, I'm gonna save it up, buy the next microphone. Luckily, I didn't have to do that because if there's anything I've ever had luck on, it is in microphones.
Nice.
Because starting from a Yeti and then only using 3 microphones in my entire life. One of them is a Yeti and one of them is a Neumann U89i from 1987. Nice. So it's vintage and it sounds really good. I've been extremely lucky. I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
But I've been able to spend my money in other areas, and that's usually acoustic treatment and software.
Right. That's the way to go, man.
I will touch Audacity again. Reaper is my go-to thing now. Reaper and
Reaper's
RX.
That's nice.
I will always record.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, same thing over here. Like we were when we were recording season 1, realized the blanket fort wasn't going to work, and we long story boring, we ended up disbanding the band, and because we had a choice in front of us, the band or the podcast. The podcast was getting, at that point, like 800 to 1,000 downloads a week. And the band would have like 40 people show up to a show, a good show, 60 to 100. That, and it was just like, what are we doing? But during that process, and us finally deciding the podcast is where we're going to spend our time and our effort and our money, it's like we need something to record in. And I was gonna go buy a whisper room. I was gonna like go down and get a little whisper room, and I started researching all of them, and realizing, okay, well, how can I make a whisper room without buying a whisper room? Same thing like you just said.
Yes.
And
exactly.
like I tell the world all the time, and I'll reiterate it again, Facebook.com, Sirenicide, click on photos, go to albums, click the album hotbox, and you'll see a sketch of a weird polygon turn into the ultimate sound booth for under $3,000. And I mean, like, I have a piece of $800 neoprene in this room that separates this room from the floor, which is what diving suits are made out of. Like, not cheap, like Lowe's quality Home Depot neoprene. Like, it's thick. And, like, the acoustic treatment in it, all the panels are probably about $400 worth. And the rest of it's literally, I have 3/4-inch plywood all the way around. Like, it's thick. Like, that's why you burn to death in here. Like, this interview I'm doing with the door open, just a moving blanket over the door. That way I can actually get ventilation. But when we record for the show, door's closed. And people aren't allowed to be in here for more than 40 minutes because they'll start to hyperventilate. I mean, you can still breathe in here. Obviously, it's getting oxygen out, but it gets hot, especially in Texas. And that's because I can't afford the whisper room AC system, on like the $60,000 model. But I mean,
my brother sent a text message to like the family group chat the other day. So I live with him, and he was like, "Man, he's really got to stop a recording from like noon to 3 because we got to turn off the air conditioner and all the fans just so he can get the recording right."
Yep.
And it is just like unbearable. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Well, hey man, even with that, even with what you just said there, people still come over, and I still turned the AC off. Even though the room, like right now, the AC is on and it won't get picked up in this recording. But but when it is off, it's that extra layer of quiet, which makes that extra boost of the preamp come through the Sapphire Pro 40 I have on the outside. Like right now, I'm just recording to a Scarlett for this stuff inside the booth. But like when I do the show, it goes through the Pro 40's, freaking preamp and all that kind of, and I don't want to spend that kind of money and time and just to have a fan on and 3 rooms away or the AC on, it's like, well, that's just contradicting.
It's really like quite peaceful too when you're recording and you're just like because I don't know about you, but in my situation, I always have a fan running in my room. Mm-hmm. And the air conditioner is always set to a certain temperature. So, occasionally it'll kick on and off, but the fan is like a constant source of noise.
Yep. I sleep to one. So,
yeah, it's just like background noise. So when I turn that off, my room turns into an entirely different place because it's silent. Like there's no sound. Definitely. And I love like pulling up RX and I'll hit the record button. And it'll show like, the little gauge of it, measuring what sound is there. And I'll turn off the fan and it just goes so far down the left. Yep. And I'm just like, that's the fucking ticket right there. That is what I want. That negative 80 decibels or whatever is just like nothing.
Yeah, man.
It's such a good recording environment because you sit down or stand up in front of your microphone and you're just like, I'm in a different world. So I can be a different person.
Right.
Because right now, I'm not in the same place I was when I had my fan on. When I was used to my normal, sit down in front of the computer, editing and whatnot. Like, when you turn everything off, you hit that record button, I still, every single time, 10 seconds of dead air for that room noise. And then I get up, I go, and I just start recording every single time. I'll get in front of my microphone and I'll say hello, just so I can hear myself, and then I'll start doing whatever I have to do.
That's awesome, man.
And it's just like it's great because it puts you it puts me in a different place, and it just feels so natural to be able to record in like this whole new world because it's not the same thing that you're used to all day every day.
Yeah. I can. Every now and then, like the power will go out. Very rarely, like I'll be asleep and I'll wake up and it feels like I'm in a horror movie because my bedside table fan's not on, And I don't
Absolutely.
even have it pointed towards me. Like, it's pointed towards the wall so I don't get like that raspy voice from it blowing in my face all night. But I have to have the noise. It's like, well, get the app on your phone. Like, that is not the same.
It's a different world. Like when you don't have that constant, like your computer just slightly buzzing in the background, or your fan just on or at a different setting even.
Yeah.
It's not the same. You're not in your room.
Nope. All right, so let's we're gonna bring it home with the I think the last question. Would you go through, as Erica Sanderson says, the anathema? I love it. She's been on our show. She of course played an English woman. The anathema. I love it every time I hear that. But would you go through the anathema with Doc, which is the USG and Doc and the Acolytes, Sirenicide, the Dark Elite, Trinity, or man, I'm probably just gonna die going through that.
Well, I don't trust the Dark Elite. I'll tell you that much. I think at this point I've given it a little bit more thought, because my first answer was just I'd probably just curl up in a ball and die. But I really kind of want to see Trinity out to the end now. I want to follow the good old doctor and see what he's got in store for us. Now that I've known, finally, after reading all the scripts, that he's been a zombie this entire time. And he's just acting on he just wants brains. It's weird. He's cured every disease on the planet, and he just wanted brains the entire time. It's ridiculous. It's
like Mason,
most outlandish story I've ever read. It's amazing.
Mason, I don't think she's gonna make it. Let's look at her head. Oh yes.
No. Let's set her aside.
To harvest brains.
I want to look between her ears. Her head, doctor. No, inside, I think.
Well, what do you need as far as instruments? A fork and a napkin. Oh, man.
Do you carry ketchup at this institute?
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so I'm assuming that answers my final question, which was, are you ready for the final season of Sirenicide?
Man, I don't think any of us are ready for this final season. That's my answer. Are any of us ready for this? Like, what are you going to do to us? What are you doing?
Man, it's the
final season, dude.
Some of the scripts have went out, and actors have contacted me. I have a video. Well, we've done it a few times. I have a video service that I use called Glide. It's free. I'm not sponsored by Glide, but if you're listening, you want to sponsor me, it's sirenicide.com.
Hey, as far as I've used, it's worked well.
Yeah. So. But a few like Christina, I sent Nichols. I was talking to her, and I've received a few videos from. Not just her picture. Actually, I think I was talking to after her interview, and was telling her about some of the stuff with her character, and then there's been some other characters I can't even name the actors or actresses because it would spoil. But we'll just say,
I can't believe you turned Doctor to a zombie.
I can't believe Laughlin's a zombie.
How dare you?
It's like I'm gonna get off of here and be like, dude, I can't believe you fucking spoiled it for everybody. What the hell, man?
I'm sorry, I didn't know,
dude. It's just a guess.
I'm just kidding.
Now I have to rewrite 4 scripts. Thanks.
Like, I told you how much I loved. What's it called?
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, sure.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna transition through a couple of Dr. Laughlin quotes and scenes here that I'm gonna plug in, and we're gonna come back with the giveaway. You guys stay tuned.
A peeler? That's interesting. Okay, Eli. It's kinda hard to explain. In fact, you may not believe me. I just don't want you or your family to feel like the Institute is exploiting the situation. The simple fact is, though we have cured cancer with our process before, this is the first time it has been for a kid. And since Bennett was placed in our care with only weeks to live, We need his story to be told. Is that okay?
You and this place are angels among us. And if we can help others the way you have helped us, then we will.
Thank you, Mrs. Oswald. Your support is crucial. The whole world will be watching us now, and Cancer Incorporated is not going to be happy.
Really? To you. I get why the X-ray vision doctor that can see disease is here. But me? I'm out. I've heard enough of—
All right, gentlemen. Have a seat, Harper. We are all here for a reason, so let's get back to that. Mr. Husto, how do you think a lawyer, a doctor, and a private investigator can fix this city?
All right, we are back with a giveaway. We got our trusty wiretap here. This contest is going to give JP Goings, you're back in the mix, and Jake Ivy and our most recent winner, Sarah. Both of you guys are going to have to sit this one out, but don't worry, Jake, next episode you'll be able to be in it, and the episode of that, Sarah, you'll be back in the mix. So, sideline for just these two, but hey, at least you get multiple chances to win throughout the summer. And
I'm proud of all of you.
So now we are going to do 1 through... Oh, I keep saying 36, but it's 37 because Atticus joined our Patreon too. Here we go. All right.
Please don't select me. Siri.
All right. Come on, wiretap. Here we go. Siri, pick a number between 1 and 37.
It's 8.
Whoa! 8!
Whoa! That's not a 30 number at all.
8 is ding, 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 ding. Oh my God, she's gonna shit. I don't even say what we decided we were giving away on this one yet. All right, so the wonderful, the fire maker herself is probably gonna be a little upset. She won something, or she might not be. I don't know, because she is an actor on the show. Miss Christina Juliana Blaze Nichols, you are number 8 on this randomized list and double random by the wiretap. You have won something. I will get with you. I'll tell you what, you can go to the Cybernicide store, pick out whatever you want, and we'll send it over.
Beer bottle spray painted with gold and signed by the cast, including yourself. Please sign this beer bottle so that we can gift it to you.
Man, she's gonna be excited. Fucking A, man. That is awesome.
Number 8. Wow.
Number 8. I'm so happy it picked something that wasn't 32 or 34 or 33 for that. I was starting to really worry because after the second time it picked a late number, after the episode was over, I just asked it like 60 times in a row to make sure it wasn't broken. And it kept picking low numbers, but just not on air. I'm like, oh, people are going to think this shit's rigged. But, cool.
Siri.
All right. So, that closes out Interesting Part 2. Once again, Atticus, please tell everybody where they can find your work, just in case they weren't paying attention for the last few hours of these episodes.
Oh, geez. Okay. You can find me mostly on Twitter at the Atticus. You can find me on other social medias, Atticus Jackson, twitch.tv/Atticus Jackson, youtube.com/Atticus Jackson. I actually have some merch available. It's my autograph on a shirt that looks really nice. If you go to threadless.com, and I'm not sure how to get to my page, but I think if you type in Atticus Jackson, you'll probably find me there too. You know what? It's my pinned tweet on Twitter. So if you find that, you can get yourself a nice shirt with my autograph. It looks really nice. It's the A and the J, and it kind of forms a little heart even. It's real pretty. It comes in white and red and all that jazz.
There you go. So I will do one more better than that. I will find that pinned tweet, copy the link, and throw it in the description too, guys. That way, if you want the quick access to the autograph shirt, and then I'll have to find a way to get one of those in my closet as well. So I will get one too. And then that'll hopefully prompt everybody else so we can do Twinkie Day one day.
No, I need to get like stickers and stuff too.
Man, I tell you, we set up last year we set up a T Public store, and I'm so glad because we were holding most of the merch in house, and mailing and shipping it all out. But we make a little less, but for the inventory and the headache and the fact that you could take like your signature thing and throw it on a coffee cup, put it on a phone case, put it on a book, put it on a flag, and somebody can order whatever they want. It is just a dream come true, man. So, and you can keep expanding it. Like I said, we're going to be in the last episode, we're going to be adding, I think it's going to be 6 more designs over season 4 is what I have planned for it. A mixture of some of my own and, of course, the great Desdemona Howard, our in-house artist that has just been killing it with the merchandise art. So,
oh, dang.
All right, guys. So you got plenty of things to sign up for $1 for more contests so you can stop listening to everybody win that coffee cup that should have been yours. Yes, I'm talking to you, Bethany McAdams. I don't know if there's a Bethany McAdams listening, but now you know I know you are.
McAdams is my favorite.
But yeah, come get that coffee cup. And it's never too late to throw $1 our way. That's $12 a year, man. I mean, and it does a lot for the show. It helps pay for these wonderful voice actors that are, part of our production, and it helps keep the lights on at the podcast. So just $1 a day keeps the end of the show away. So I'm going to leave it.
I seriously, I demand like golden Skittles every time Johnny tries to hire me. So,
well, see, that's.
If y'all want to eat again, I mean, you gotta start chunking out some change because I'm not cheap.
Yeah, I mean, he knocks us down. That's what I was about to get at with Christina Nichols winning. Like, 'cause she's like, no, I don't want it. Like, no, you got to take it. Because same thing. I mean, you guys have no idea like how much work people like Atticus and Christina that do for us. We try to make sure that anyone that works, for the show, contracts for the show, they get paid. So every dollar helps us do that. I mean, we can't obviously pay industry rates.
People realize that although voice acting can be very fun, it's also like our job. Like we try our best. We spend a lot of money, as you know.
Yes.
There's a lot of money sank into just trying to be better at your craft. I mean, you don't ever walk into like an empty living room with tile flooring or whatever and put up a microphone on a stand and just start voice acting. Like you can't, that's not going to sound good. There's going to be echoes and everything's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Like no matter even how good of an actor you are, you have to have a space. You have to have the knowledge of just what you're doing. And that comes after experience. And
yep.
Really, we try to do our best. We hope we sound good. I hope I've entertained people. I hope I've somehow progressed the story somehow with the characters I've played. It's been a blast to play these characters. I love how well written these stories are. I don't know, man. I'm really excited for the future because season 4 sounds like it's gonna fucking blow me away. So I'm really happy about that, man.
It's gonna be epic, man. It's you guys were that much closer. September 17th, and remember, it's week to week. Everybody, we're not doing the bi-weekly this season. So starting September 17th, all the way to December 31st, the Tuesday. So that is our 16 weeks for the 16 episodes of season 4 of Cybernicide. So I'm just gonna leave you guys with that.
Long Dr. Laughlin can be a zombie during all that whole time. It sounds like someone figured that out.
He's deteriorating.
Oh shit, cut it out. Cut that part out.
Crap. Spoiler. Beep.
What I meant was Dr. Laughlin is a vampire. That's how he solves diseases.
He's a werewolf zombie vampire hybrid, all right? Damn it.
Yes. Of course, they never get sick, so he can always cure diseases and
be diseased.
On the side, he's like a Scooby-Doo murder mystery kind of guy. Just in his spare time. Is he a doctor? I don't know.
And like that, he voiced him enough to know how he would end without me telling him.
Well, just you get connected to a character after a while. Dr. Laughlin really likes Tetris. That's it.
Tetris. That's a good spot to end on. All right, folks, we are so gracious to have someone like Atticus as part of our production. Check them out on all the social medias linked in the description and that was spoken above. And we will see you guys on the next ICE episode with the next interview and the next giveaway. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your summer while it's still here.
Mason, we should have what we need. Let's get the boy out of there.
All elements of Sirenicide are copyright 2019 by Atrium Dynamics unless otherwise stated. Any duplication of this production without the secured written consent of Atrium Dynamics is strictly prohibited. Please visit Sirenicide.com for more details.